Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? My name is Kent. Of course, the channel's about cryptocurrencies, but I like to do Cornhusker football videos as well. So the schedule I'd like to do is I'd like to do a video every other night, probably one on cryptocurrency and one on college football, specifically Nebraska college football. So tonight will be a video night. Tomorrow night I may take off. I may still make a video occasionally, but by and large, that's the schedule I'm going to hold to. Every other night, make a video. So if you see the Nebraska football in the title, then you know it's about Nebraska football. If you see cryptocurrencies like EOS or Bitcoin, then you know that it's about cryptocurrency. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about NIL, Nebraska football and NIL. I want to talk about NIL, and I want to talk about how it affects Nebraska specifically. So of course, NIL is players being paid, and players being paid by people that own businesses. I think this young man by the name of DeColdest Crawford made a boatload of money by having him use his name in a air conditioning heating ad. So you can see how his name would conform to that kind of an ad. So he made a boatload of money, but he didn't really even play. I think he was hurt the entire season. It was just that his name kind of fit the ad, so he made a lot of NIL money. Well, that's NIL. That's the way NIL works. It gives the player in any sport, doesn't mean it has to be a guy or it could be a woman, man or woman, but any sport, it gives them the opportunity to make money from their name, image, and likeness. And of course, that's the world we're in today. Social media, people make money creating content. Kind of what I'm doing here tonight. I'm creating content. Not that I'm making much money at it, because YouTube doesn't pay a whole lot of money for these videos, but if you had a large following, it would be a lot of money. And the same thing with college football. So if you have somebody that has an amazing following and a lot of people are watching them, their image and their name and their likeness is worth a lot of money, and especially to somebody who wants to advertise. I think another advertiser that Nebraska had was the Pipeline. So I think they had a sub sandwich shop there in Lincoln that was advertising the Pipeline. Of course, they would show a picture of the Nebraska offensive line, and of course that image for people, a lot of people, made them feel like, oh wow, this is fun, this is Nebraska football, and I can buy a sandwich at the same time and support the team or support the players. So that's NIL. And the reason I'm making this video is because I watched the video the other night with Tommy Frazier, touchdown Tommy Frazier, Eric Crouch, and of course Johnny the Jet Rogers, and they were talking about NIL. And of course, they were more or less feeling that NIL was unearned money that these guys need to, before they make the kind of money that has been thrown out there. And of course, Tommy Frazier, I'll put the video below if you want to watch it. Tommy Frazier said that he had heard that a young man that was only a junior in high school was being offered $7 million to play. And of course, Eric Crouch was saying that he, when he played at Nebraska, was offered a sandwich one time, and it almost cost him his eligibility. So he couldn't even get a sandwich from someone, and now you got guys that are not even graduated from high school being offered multi-million-dollar deals to come and play at the university. So my feeling about this is that I am completely in favor of NIL, mainly because the pendulum swings both ways. I mean, there was a day when Eric Crouch, Tommy Frazier, and Johnny Rogers played that they didn't get any money. In fact, they couldn't get anything. In fact, Johnny Rogers has a little saying for the NCAA. I think it was no cash at all. You can listen to the video but it stands for no cash anytime, I think. Okay, but anyway, use the letters to say no cash at all or no cash at any time or anything. I can't remember how exactly he did that. But anyway, if you've never listened to Johnny Rogers, he's got a lot of little sayings. He comes up with some really good stuff. A lot of things that are pretty fun. So he's worth the time to watch. If you see Johnny Rogers in a Nebraska video, it's worth watching. He's very, very entertaining to watch. So these guys, of course, if they'd have played in today's time, they would have made a lot of money. They've been fabulously rich. So obviously, it's kind of hard for them to sit back and see these young guys making this kind of money. And you know, if they would have played a few decades later, they would have made this kind of money too. So yeah, I can understand there's a little bit of, you know, feeling like, wow, why wasn't this around when I was playing? But that's the way it works out. But their feeling was, you know, hey, if you're getting this kind of money, what's your incentive to go to school? And that's my thing too. Is if you're getting paid $5, $6, $7 million, do you have an incentive to sit in a class and study, basic 101 biology or 101 accounting or something like that? I'm already making millions of dollars playing football. Why do I need a college education? Which is, a pretty good thought. I mean, if I can make millions of dollars in NIL, what's my motivation to stay in a classroom? And I think that's already kind of been the case for a lot of college athletes. They don't have a lot of motivation to get good grades or stay in the classroom, especially if they've got potential to be NFL players or, now today with NIL. So I think NIL is a good thing. And I think Nebraska can utilize it because of the fan base that they have. They have an incredible fan base that will support anything Nebraska. And so, Nebraska can use it in their recruiting. I mean, they had that, the guy that was a defensive end last year, I can't remember his name, but they were able to get him from TCU. And, I'm sure they paid him a lot of money because they were bidding against Texas. Of course, Texas has got deep pockets. So he came to Nebraska because he was paid to come to Nebraska. And he got probably paid very, very well to come to Nebraska. So they were able to outbid someone from obviously a bigger state, Texas, much bigger than Nebraska, and probably a bigger university. I think University of Texas is bigger than the University of Nebraska. And they were able to get this young man away from him. And I can't remember his name. I'm trying to think. People are screaming it at me right now. I'm sure they are. But I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But anyway, he didn't turn out to be, he was a good player. I would say he was a, above average player, but he wasn't the superstar that they were counting on. And I'm sure they paid him like he was going to be a superstar, but it didn't quite turn out. So, sometimes this is the way it works out. But I would say that when you see something like what Tommy Frazier's talking about, a junior in high school making $7 million to come play at a college, that is the exception, not the rule. Most of these young guys that are getting money from NIL, they'll probably be paying $5, $10, $15, $20,000 a year, maybe more. If you're a great player, maybe 100 or 50, 75, whatever. But not very many of these guys are making millions, I would say, at this point at NIL. So I think at this point, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for college football. It's a good thing for Nebraska football, and it's a good thing for the kids, and I think it's a good thing for the universities. You can't have athletic directors making millions of dollars a year, coaches making millions of dollars a year, and then have a player who throws his body out there on the field, may get a knee torn up, may get a shoulder torn up, may have a lifelong disability by playing a game, maybe a bad knee, bad shoulder, bad ankle, bad wrist, whatever it is, maybe for a lifetime, and they did that and didn't get paid for it. And if the advertisers, the TV contracts, are willing to pay millions of dollars to use these games, and of course they're making money from advertisers that advertise during the game while we're watching the game, they're making a lot of money. So there's a lot of money in the system. Why not spread it out around everyone, and make sure that the people that are doing this, that are actually participating and making it happen, they get some of the pay too. You can't pay Matt Rule $9.25 million a year and then have Casey Thompson not getting, like Gary Krause, not be able to get a sandwich or a pizza because it violates NCAA policies. No, you got to give them an opportunity to make some sort of money out of their image, their likeness, and their name. And that's the internet, that's social media, and that's the way it works. And that's just the game that's being played right now. And if you think that it's ruining college football, what I think is ruining. If you think that's the case, it's been ruined a long time ago, because it got ruined back when you started paying coaches like Scott Frost $5 million a year, or some other people that made tons and tons and tons and tons of money. I mean, you can't sit there on the sideline, look at a coach like Scott Frost making $5 million a year and not have a winning season, not go to a bowl game, not meet expectations, and at the same time tell a player that you can't use your name, likeness, and image in the open market for anybody to spend the money they want or the money they've allocated to advertising to pay you for the ability to use your name, likeness, and image. So it's just the marketplace, and if the marketplace goes to millions and millions of dollars, the marketplace will fix itself if that's too much. So at this point in the game, I would just let it ride, let it go, see where it goes, see how NIL works out. I don't know, and actually right now it's probably everybody is playing on an equal playing field, because now you know what these players are probably being paid. Well, you know what they're probably being paid because it's going to be information that I think is probably going to be public. But back in the day, you know, these colleges like SMU and some of these other people, they got the death penalty. Their programs were paying players all along. I think that Marcus Dupree, I think if you ever watched that ESPN special on him, his mom was being offered double wide trailers, and he was offered cash and all this other stuff to play. I think Eric Dickerson said he got paid quite a bit of money to play in college. So a lot of these guys are already being paid money. You know, now they're being paid money, but we all know about how much money they're being paid. And believe me, when you hear the big numbers, like the millions and millions of dollars being thrown, that's not very many guys. That's very, very few. That's a minority of people. The most of these guys probably aren't being paid that much. They're probably being paid $5, $10, $15, $20,000 a year, which I think is completely reasonable in this day and age with what the revenue is being brought in from these college games, what the university makes, what everybody along the line, the coaches make, the athletic directors, everybody that's in the administration, you know, everybody's making this money coming into these universities because of these big football contracts, big TV football contracts. Why not let it go down to the players? And then let's see where it goes. You know, I don't think it ruins college football. I think the only guys that think it's ruining college football are the guys that probably feel a little bit like they didn't get theirs when they were playing. So, you know, to me, it's not a big deal. I'm happy to see it happen. I think it makes the game more interesting, and I think it helps a team like Nebraska. I mean, some of these other teams that can't get up the support to support NIL, you know, it may be a fewer teams that are really biting for these players. They're biting for these players because they can get the revenue to pay them, the money to pay them. Some of these smaller schools may not be able to do that. So I think it's going to be an interesting how it plays out. I would just say let the market take over. If somebody wants to put their marketing budget into a Nebraska football player that's turning the program around, like maybe somebody like a Raiola or somebody like that, or Jeff Sims or Casey Thompson, if they're going to turn the program around and they're going to get people 75,000, 80,000, 90,000 people in the seats there at Memorial Stadium and keep that streak going, you know what? I think they deserve to make a little bit of money out of it. And I think that I think you'd be hard pressed to make an argument that they shouldn't make something out of it. And I think that if they make hundreds or millions, I think it depends on who's willing to pay what and how the market, you know, determines that. And that's the way I'd like to see it play out, and that's the way it's going to be played out. And it's going to make it so everybody knows what everybody else is being paid, probably because it's going to get exposed by sports writers and it's going to be in the media. So, and probably the players will talk about it. The other thing, one other issue I'd like to talk about as far as NIL is concerned is the one thing I am concerned about is that if you have a young man who is young and all of a sudden comes into this kind of money, you know, what happens to the money? What do they do with the money? You know, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be in the game of figuring out how to rob these players of the money that they're making and make sure that they don't keep it themselves, because, you know, they're going to have managers and they're going to have all these other people. And of course, you never know what a 18-year-old kid could do with money. They can find a lot of ways to squander money. So that would be one thing I'd be concerned about. Like if you're making a multi-million dollars and you come from a background where you know, there's nobody there to help you manage that money, you know, how's that gonna work out? I mean, you'd hate to see somebody get completely swindled by somebody, especially at that age. And the other thing, I remember Tommy Frazier said in that video that he said he came from a family of I think 6 children, and they all lived in a fairly small house. I think he said 1 bathroom. And he said if he hadn't made the money, it would go to help his parents or his support system, the people that helped him out. And I think that's probably by and large the way most of it's going to go. It's going to go back to the kids' support system, parent or aunt or uncle or brother or sister, whoever helped him, get to a point where they could play major college football. Some of that money is going to funnel back to the family. So in that respect, I think it's a good thing. It wouldn't be such a good thing if the money doesn't go to helping the person future in their life, or helping them, their family, or helping somebody that needs to benefit from it. That would be the thing. That'd be the travesty of it if it was going to somebody like some sort of sports contract person that, or some sort of attorney or somebody like that just wants to make a buck out of them. How you doing? And that would be the bad thing. So yeah, I wouldn't want to see that happen. I don't know if there's any way to control that or not. But Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm like I say, I'm entirely in favor of it. I know people might not think the same way I do, but I think if you're in the internet age, you got to give these kids an opportunity to make money when they got the opportunity to make it. We know, that the job market isn't going to be that great when they get out. It hasn't been that great for a long time. So the universities for a long time have been churning kids out that have university degrees, but they don't have a good way of employment. So now, if you got an opportunity to play a little football, make some money, maybe set yourself up to buy a little something, maybe a business or a home or something like that, and have a future from your time in college or playing football. Let them do it. Let them have it. Let them get a jump start in life instead of giving them a double or triple digit student loan that they can never get out of or never bankrupt because the laws say you can't BK a student loan. Instead of hanging them with a huge debt after 4 or 5 years of college, why not give them a little bump in life so that when they get out, they can make something go? They can have some money to make something happen. And that's an opportunity. You may have a small window of time to do that, maybe 4 years. And if they do something big and spectacular in those 4 years and can make enough money to jumpstart their life, why not? Why not give them that opportunity to have that happen? And when Tommy Frazier and Eric Crouch and Johnny Rogers say, hey, they should earn it, I don't know how do you define that? What's earning it? I think Johnny said that maybe they should, or maybe Eric said that they should pay for their own schooling, which is no more universities giving out scholarships. They could pay for their own schooling instead of getting a university scholarship, which I think is a fair idea. That's probably fair enough if you're going to make big money in NIL. Maybe you should pay your own university tuition. I think they said some other things. I think Tommy Frazier said that when he was getting ready to graduate from Nebraska, the NCAA asked him to come talk, and I think he was saying that if you could do like a $1,500 a month or something like that to pay the university or the students for their basic needs, a little bit of money to go out, a little bit of money to have some food, do some stuff, why not do something like that? And he thought that was a great idea, which it probably was. But we're in an internet age. We're in an age where someone can have a video go viral. Somebody could do get millions of followers by shooting some videos or doing something, on a football field, some spectacular catch or some spectacular throw or something like that. Why shouldn't the person that made that content or made that video, if that was so unique or so well done, or there's such a person that has a unique ability to do something, a unique ability to catch the ball, just like last year with Palmer. I mean, his ability to catch the ball was unique. That's one in a million person people that can do something like that can run that fast and is coordinated enough to catch the ball, like he did into the end zone or something. That's a very, very, very rare thing. And if he's the one person in a million that has that skill, that's why he's being paid $1 million in NIL or however much money he made. Because certain people are gifted in certain ways, and they should be able to use those gifts and be able to prosper from those gifts. And we shouldn't have universities and NCAA and other people beating them up for it and telling them, no, they shouldn't be able to make that money. That money's not, they haven't earned it yet. That's just old school thinking. Well, we haven't earned it. Well, maybe if we bring it up to today's time and age, maybe they have earned it, because that's exactly what it takes in order to make money in this world. It takes something unique, and it takes people that want to watch it, put eyeballs on it, follow it. And that's how the money gets made. That's how things happen on social media in the social world. So I'm 100% in favor of NIL. Like I said, the only caveat I would have about it is there'd be some way that somebody could oversee, maybe not oversee, but somehow there would be some way somebody could get some help in the counseling as far as how to handle this money, and it shouldn't be just, hey, I got some accountant or some consultant that's got some idea, like I should be purchasing land in Bermuda or something like that. You don't want those kind of ideas. You don't want somebody purchasing something that's taking the money and making it where it's not going to make anything for them. That's what you don't want, and that's the only thing I would say against it. These guys are pretty young, and they're vulnerable to that kind of stuff. So that would be my only thing, is make sure the money's not being stolen from these guys. In the meantime, if they can make it and people are willing to pay it, go for it. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.